For Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke.
Madam Speaker, it is an honour and a privilege as the Member of Parliament for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke to speak on behalf of the people of my riding to Bill C38, the Budget Implementation Act, which speaks to the Economic Action Plan for 2012, which is Canada's blueprint for jobs, growth, and long-term prosperity. As it has been stated elsewhere under our current Prime Minister, Canada can fairly claim to be the best governed country amongst advanced democracies in the world. And this year's federal budget locks up Canada's lead. I've listened very carefully to the comments made by the official opposition in regards to the legislation, and what I found, and this is reflected in the comments I've received from my constituents who've been following the debate around this legislation, is that Canadians support the legislation, the efforts of our government to provide steady leadership on the economy. Now, there's a difference between questions about legislation as opposed to opposition just for the sake of opposing. As a member of this government, I'm pleased to respond with facts. The fact is that Canada is the envy of the world during this time of turbulence in international markets. As an example, it is the budget comments put forth by the radical left-wing leader of the opposition. It is the disingenuous argument that Canada should not be exporting energy in the form of unrefined hydrocarbons. Confusingly, the other members of the opposition coalition suggest we should be refining bitumen from the oil sands here in Canada. So quite apart from their real position in that they oppose any resource extraction whatsoever, they know that under the current regulatory regime, the likelihood that environmental approval within a reasonable time frame occurring is absolutely nil. The proper role of government is to allow for science-based decision-making that is based on facts. C38 will restore the balance to a regulatory bureaucracy that has become counterproductive to the environment and to the interests of all Canadians. Canadians will never accept the opposition-inspired left-wing voodoo economics precisely because what they propose for the environment will destroy Canada's economy. We believe that you can help the environment without destroying jobs. Madam Speaker, this is why I absolutely believe that Parliament needs to pass legislation as quickly as possible so that the Government of Canada can get on with the business of providing jobs, growth, and economic prosperity to all Canadians. What the opposition needs to focus on are the benefits this legislation brings to our economy. Nowhere is that more important than in my home province of Ontario. The province of Ontario was once the undisputed economic engine of Canada. This is now disputed because the manufacturing sector in Ontario is suffering, not because of some ill-conceived NDP notion about some disease that's intended to confuse and divide, but because the policies of the Liberal Party of Ontario that have taken away one of the primary advantages that built Ontario, economic, affordable power. The province of Ontario has siphoned off tens of millions of dollars out of the pockets of Ontario energy users, particularly from households and our manufacturing base, resulting in a hollowing out of Ontario's once vibrant manufacturing sector. This is causing severe economic hardship among seniors and anyone else on a fixed income. It's causing the decline of Ontario's manufacturing sector and the jobs in that sector, not of some disease theory that has no relevance to our made-in-Canada experiences. Here, in the Ottawa Valley, which is a net exporter of energy, we have first-hand knowledge of Ontario's controversial so-called Green Energy Act. Rather than generate clean hydro electricity, we watch the province of Ontario spill water over the Ottawa River power dams. Ontario taxpayers pay American states millions of dollars to take our power. The province calls this negative wholesale electricity pricing. Most terrible of all, This situation is expected to get much worse as more hugely expensive, heavily taxpayer-subsidized industrial wind turbines are being forced onto rural Ontario residents every day. The time has come to stop this environmental madness. In the last election, Canadians voted for our vision of Canada as a clean energy superpower. Building an economic strategy on natural resources, a foundation for that is good for our economy and good for jobs. This strategy was good for Ontario in the past and is good for Ontario now and in the future. The time has come to move forward and take advantage of Canada's Economic Action Plan. Canada's Economic Action Plan will provide $107 million over the next 2 years to maintain safe and reliable operations at Atomic Energy of Canada Limited's Chalk River Laboratories. Chalk River Laboratories of AACL, in collaboration with the National Research Council, has been actively involved in the development of clean, safe energy. There is a strategic overlap between nuclear science and hydrogen technologies. Hydrogen and electricity are the only known forms of energy that offer zero emissions from motor vehicles. The challenge with using hydrogen as a fuel is not the burning of the fuel, as it burns very cleanly with pure water as a byproduct. It's the process to produce the hydrogen. A next-generation nuclear reactor is one that generates electricity and processes heat with hydrogen as a byproduct. Hydrogen can be generated from energy supplied in the form of heat electricity through the high-temperature electrolysis, HTE. Since some of the energy in HTE is supplied in the form of heat, less of the energy must be converted from heat to electricity and then to chemical form. And so potentially, far less energy is required per kilogram of hydrogen produced. While nuclear-generated electricity could be used for electrolysis, nuclear heat can be directly applied to split the hydrogen from water. High temperature, 950 degrees to 1,000 Celsius, gas-cooled nuclear reactors have the potential to split hydrogen from water by thermochemical means using nuclear heat. Research by Chalk River Laboratories into high-temperature nuclear reactors will eventually lead to a hydrogen supply that is cost-competitive as well as reliable. Rather than paying other jurisdictions to take electricity or spilling water over the hydro dams, Ontario could be producing low-cost hydrogen today to power public transit. The Ottawa Valley has all the building blocks to start the hydrogen economy and the green energy jobs that go with it. The New Flyer Bus Company, with its maintenance facilities in Arnprior, is currently involved in a hydrogen-powered bus pilot project with financial assistance from the Government of Canada in British Columbia. Ontario, with our natural advantages to develop the hydrogen economy, should be undertaking a similar pilot project in this province. Ottawa River power dams can provide electricity to power electrolysis as a cost-effective method to make hydrogen. The Chalk River Nuclear Research Labs are involved in the cutting-edge activities like developing hydrogen storage applications that are safe, reliable, and economical. Nuclear energy is currently the only large-scale, zero greenhouse gas-emitting source of electricity in Ontario that is not limited by geography or weather. Nuclear energy has helped Ontario reduce greenhouse gas emissions safely and competitively for over 4 decades. CANDU reactors have a unique Canadian design with an excellent safety record, and they can fuel with uranium or thorium. Nuclear energy can provide us decades, if not centuries, of time to find ways to generate more of our energy needs from affordable renewable sources, or perhaps nuclear fusion at some point in the future. According to the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers, using nuclear generation to back up the variability of wind generation is uniquely available to Ontario because 55% of Ontario's power requirements are supplied by nuclear power plants. Ontario needs Bill C 38 pass now so that we can start to deliver on the benefits of this legislation to the people of this province. And in doing so, we help the rest of Canada. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments?